Okay, so still on the sample exam paper, another question says, write a program that uses a stack object to determine whether a string is a palindrome or not. So a palindrome is a word that's spelled the same backwards and forwards. One example is mum. Another one's race car. Another one's radar. There's a whole lot of words and phrases that are palindromes. Okay, so we need to write some code, and we've got a string, and we're going to need to use a stack to help us work out whether the string is a palindrome or not. Okay, so the question doesn't say anything about stripping out punctuation or spaces or anything like that. So we're just going to assume, for this purposes of the exam, that it's just a straight piece of text, one word. Okay, like mum. That's the example it gave us. So we're going to make sure we can work out the mum's a palindrome. We're not going to do any fancy stuff. We're just going to keep it nice and simple. Okay, so I've got palindrome.java here, blank file, public class palindrome. We're just going to do everything in the main method, public static void main string square brackets args, and our little test string, we'll start off with test string 1 equals mum, and we'll work out whether that's a palindrome or not. Okay, mum. So the same forwards as well as backwards. So we've got a string there. What we need to do is loop through all the characters in a string and add them onto a stack. And then, because the stack is last in, first out, it's like a stack of paper. The last bit of paper you add to a stack is the first piece you remove. To get to the third piece of paper down, you need to remove the top two and get to that third piece. Okay, so a stack's just like a stack of books or a stack of whatever. And so you need to remove the top ones to get down. So what we're going to do is put our data onto the stack, which when we read it off, we're reading it back off in reverse order, and we'll compare that to the string that we've got. In other words, this string here, in forwards order. Okay, and everything should be the same. The character should be the same that we're pulling off in reverse order as we're reading through in forwards order. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so that's the strategy. Sounds complicated? It's not really. Let's just have a look. Certainly once you've done it once or twice, once you play around with stacks, they're really quite easy to use. It's just another data structure. Write a few programs using them and you'll be fine. Stacks, queues, linked lists, array lists. They're all sorts of things you need to be comfortable with if you're going to be doing any sort of programming in your future. Int k equals 0. And we're going to want to look through the length of that string. So test string, I'll just call it test string. I'm not going to call it test string 1. Dot length. So it's the length of the string, which is a method we need to call, not a property. K++. And what we're going to do as well is we want to declare a stack. So stack. And I said we're going to be working on characters. So we need a stack of character. Stack equals new stack of character. Okay, so that's our stack. We need an import java.util.star. And that brings in the required classes we need to work with stacks. So what we're going to do is loop through this string here and get each character out of the string and pop it onto the stack or push it onto the stack. Okay, so we want to get our stack and do a push. That's how you get data onto a stack, is push. Push and pop are the main two words you use. Peek as well if you want to just look at the data and not remove it. So stack.push, we're going to get the next character out of the string. .char at, and it's going to be k. So we're going to get the first time through the loop, we're going to get the char at 0 location in the string, which is the first character. Everything starts at 0 in Java, all arrays and everything start at 0. The next time through the loop, k will be 1, and we'll get the char at 1, which is the u. And the third time through the loop, we'll get the char at 2, which is our third character, which is our final m. Okay, so the first time through we'll get m, next time through the loop, that's at location 0, next time through we'll get u, next time through we'll get m. Okay, so we'll loop through 3 times, all 3 characters, push each one up onto the stack, so it'll be mu, m on the stack, and then what we need to do is, we'll assume palindrome is palindrome palindrome. We'll assume that's true, and we'll try and prove that false. Okay, so we're now going to loop through our string in forwards order and get the data off our stack in reverse order. And if we find any mismatches as we're getting data and comparing it, we know we haven't got a palindrome. Okay, so for, just say that same for loop again. Same for loop. And if test string.char at k is not equal to the next item on the stack, stack.pop. So if they're not equal, then is palindrome is false. Okay, so we're just comparing each character from the string with each item on the stack. We're just popping the data off the stack. 0 will pop off the last M that we added. The next pop will pop off the U, and the last pop, the third pop, will pop off the original M that was in the string. And if they're not equal to the data in the original string, if the data popped off the stack isn't equal, then we haven't got a palindrome. So we can say palindrome's false. And then we can just display the results on the screen. System.out.println. So it's not asking for a GUI or anything like that. We don't need to type in the data entry boxes for some text and display stuff in nice formatted GUI components. It's not asking any of that. It's just saying to determine whether something's a palindrome. So we can do it in the simplest, shortest way, which is a nice little console app. So print line. And we'll might as well display the string plus is palindrome, and we'll display the results of the is palindrome test. Okay, the question didn't ask us to display everything like this. We're just doing it to make our program a bit more friendly. So it's just a little bit of extra work here to get it so it displays something nice. So it's going to display the string. Is a palindrome true or false? Will appear on the screen. Okay, let's run it. 2 errors. Test string.length. Oh, sorry, I left off the K. Dear oh dear. K. I'm going cross-eyed because I'm working with a small font. K is less than. Yep, I left that off. That should be right. That's compiled fine. Control 2. And we'll see mum is a palindrome. Okay, so that's working fine. Let's now change it a bit so it's mummy. I don't know, I'm just sticking with the theme. We'll see if mummy's a palindrome. And of course we know it's not going to be. So that's false. Let's check race car. So race car is same race car backwards as well. So race car is a palindrome. And that's true. And race cars, and that's false. So when we add an S on the end, it's not true anymore. So that's all working well. What about if you put an uppercase R there? Also, we've got uppercase letters here, and we're comparing them here without case. The question didn't say to worry about that, but it's no longer a palindrome, even if we take off the S. Because we're comparing uppercase R with lowercase r, and no, of course they're not the same. Okay, so that's false. It's no longer a palindrome. So one thing you could do there is maybe get your test string and maybe convert everything to lowercase. Or uppercase, doesn't matter. So convert everything to lowercase and then process that. And so uppercase race car is now a palindrome. That's probably all we need to do to answer the question. We could also improve our code to strip out punctuation and commas and all sorts of things. So you could have phrases that are palindromes. There's a whole lot of good ones on the internet. If you do a palindrome search, you'll find a whole lot of good ones. But the question doesn't say to do that. The question doesn't say to handle all possible cases where there's strange punctuation and commas and full stops and exclamation points. It just says determine whether a simple string's a palindrome, and we've done that. So that's 5 marks. It's a simple use of stacks. It's just stack character, stack equals new stack character. So we're defining what type of data to store in a stack. push all the data onto the stack one character at a time, loop through the stack and compare it against the original string, and pop the data off the stack and see if everything's the same each time through, and at the end print the results. Okay. Now we could shorten things here a little bit slightly. Again, the question doesn't ask for this, but we could do it. Because we really only need to compare half the original string against half of what's on the stack. In other words, the first half of the string with the top half of the stack, which is the end part of the string. We could say divided by 2 there if we wanted to, and that would save us processing half the data, or around about half the data. Because that'll still work fine. Palindrome, race car's still a palindrome, so that's working fine. Again, the question didn't ask for these little optimizations, so you shouldn't really need to add them. Let's just answer the question in the most straightforward way, and that's for the console application, just determining whether the examples given in the question, like mum, are palindromes, and we've certainly done that. Okay, hope that was useful. Please have a play around with stacks and queues, linked lists, array lists. There's going to be at least one question, probably several on those on the exam, and like I say, write a couple of programs to work with them, and you'll soon become comfortable with them, and you'll be able to do anything you like. Okay, so hope that was useful. Thanks for watching.